Welcome to a Judgment Eternal Champions Hero Deep Dive, and today we're diving straight into Skoll Bonestorm, the Orc Ettin Mystic. This is a picture of Skoll's new sculpt, and as you can see he's got two heads, being an Ettin. In this video I'm going to be talking about Skoll's abilities, his level up abilities, all tips and tricks on how to use him, as well as play against him. As always, I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts on using Skoll. If you agree with me, disagree with me, or how you think she should be used, please put them in the comments below. I'll be answering any questions you've got. Happy to have discussions around how to best use Skoll Bonestorm. Right, let's dive straight into him. Now, Skoll is an Orc Ettin Mystic, as I said. He's a defender and has a Soul Harvest of 4. Now, that Soul Harvest ability is quite strong, and a lot of the defenders have this, and so do some other non-soul gazers, but it is very handy for picking up the odd soul. I recommend keeping it in the back of your mind when using Skoll, that particularly if you've got a friend to help him, it's almost a 50-50 chance of picking up that soul. I'd recommend it. And particularly him, because Skoll, with his two heads, is one of the unique heroes that's got 2 level up paths. So when you level up, you can choose between 2 talent trees. So he's got some exceptionally good level up abilities. So for Skoll, I'd recommend keeping in the back of your mind, he's good at picking up the odd soul, if that's what you want to do. Now, being an Orc, he's got movement 3. His Agi is 3 and res 1. His Agi is 1 less than a standard Orc, being a big bulky Ettin, but he more than makes up for that with health, which we'll get to a bit later. Mel 5, no magic and no RNG. Now, Mel 5 looks, on the face of it, looks quite low, but rest assured, he's got some excellent abilities that make that more worthwhile. His attack is a Brute Axe, 1 action point, reach 1, and a 2-3-4 standard stat line. Now, the beauty of Skoll when you start looking at his powers. Let's do that. Level 1, he's got dual wield. Now, one of the few heroes that does, Nefani's another one, but dual wield, when in the right situation, is a huge bonus damage to a hero. Now, Skoll's only got Mel 5 at the moment, don't forget, but if you get your opponent knocked down, or they've got a good Agi reduction on them, such as Jaeger's Rotarius, he can really come into his own with the damage output he can do. The dual wield was also good for doing things like pushing people around, if that's what you want to do. The key for Skoll is to get the amount of dice he throws up, and with Mel 5, that's obviously not easy, but with the right allies, things like Bastion, with his heroic ballad, friends contributing to him or giving him in melee with their assistance, or even the Vorpal Blade's a viable option with Skoll if you're going to use him in that role. He's a bruiser. You want to get him in the face as quickly as you can of your opponents, and the more levels he gains, the more that play style comes to the fore. He does have 2 heads, which gives him some benefits. There are benefits to having 2 heads. One is he's immune to stun, which is quite a handy ability. The other one is enemies don't get +1 die when doing a parting blow against him. Small things, but the stun thing's actually quite cool, because stun is pretty prevalent in the game. Level 1 active abilities. Now, this is where you get Skoll's signature play, and it is Bulwark. Bulwark gives 5 temporary health to a friendly non-defender within 2 hexes. Now, the key here is it lasts to the end of Skoll's next activation. If you do Skoll early in one round and late in the other, that 5 temporary health will be lasting a very long time on a particular hero. So it's really important to use this ability as much as you can. It can keep even a weak hero alive. 5 temporary health is a lot. It's a full crit from an aggressor and more than a crit from non-aggressors. It can really tip the balance and dissuade your opponent from trying to kill one of your squishies when they've got Bulwark on them. And don't forget, often a good tactic with Skoll, you want to delay him. If your opponent does decide to get Bulwark off, you delay till they've got it down to 1 or got rid of it, activate him next, reapply it straight away. It's huge. You can honestly keep a squishy hero ally alive for the entire game using Bulwark. It's a fantastic ability, and good Skoll players should be using it almost every activation if they can. Soul Burn is a good mid to late game ability. It burns enemy models that have souls attached to them, D6 true damage for each one. So late in the game, often heroes will have 1 or 2, even maybe 3 souls in the big 5v5 games. This is where Soul Burn really comes into its own. This is where you want Skoll up in your opponent's face. You want him to soaking up damage, chucking out bulwarks, and soul burning mid to late game when he's got the opportunity. But Skoll's true power doesn't lie at level 1. His level up trees are quite strong, and let's dive into those right now. Now the first head we're going to look at is the warrior head. This is huge. So the warrior head introduces some really cool abilities. First of all, Skoll gets 3 health per level, and he starts with a whopping 21 health. So at level 2 he's got 24, and level 3 27. He's got the highest health statistic in the game. Granted, he's got Agi 3, but the Res 1 does help him a lot. For Skoll, if you really want to use him in that bruiser, you can either get him the Boots of Agility to make him Agi 4, which is a great help in keeping him alive. Other options with him are to get some sort of healing on him, like a regeneration, ring of regeneration, or even potentially the Leech Blade, where he can leech up health as he's going. Now, back to his warrior head. First of all, he gets +1 Mel. That in itself is huge, right? So if you've already given him the Wobble Blade, he's all of a sudden Mel 7. Now, with a Mel 7, dual wield, it's quite a sight to behold. If he's got someone like a Bastion as an ally, or a Gendris, or someone with reach to help him get that assist in combat, he can put out some massive damage. It can actually tip him towards actually being your aggressive style damage more than a bruiser. If you want to play him in that role, he's definitely up for it. Combo Strike is an excellent clutch play. It's 2 action points. He gets an extra die after all other modifiers when resolving the attack. He can charge with it, and it does a whopping 3, 5, 6 damage. Now, this is sensational. Considering he's already Mel 6 at this point, he gets an extra, so he counters Mel 7 when you use this ability. If he's got the Vol 8, he could be Mel 8. Now, you're putting up the 3, 5, 6 damage grid is quite high, and then he's got a 1 symbol knockout maneuver on this, where he can actually knock down and stun someone. Huge utility for him. This warrior head is full of goodness. At level 2 alone, it's worth taking, and it's often a good strategy to level up Skoll just to get this warrior head level 2. A 24 health Agi 3 Res 1 hero that can put out this kind of damage is quite nice indeed. Now, at level 3 for the warrior head, he gets Primal Scream. I mentioned earlier, you want Skoll up in your opponent's face, mixing it up, soaking up damage, chucking out bulwarks, and Primal Scream is fantastic. The 3 hex radius around Skoll is a huge presence on the tabletop, and it stops enemy models being the beneficiary of their friends' active abilities. People like Bastion completely shuts him down because he can't cast heal on any models that are within three hexes of Skoll. Enemy Skulls can't put Bulwark up. There's so many cool abilities that can't be used when you got Primal Scream up. It's a really good ability that doesn't get used as much as it should, particularly late game. If you've got that fate that you can spare, it's worth chucking this out all the time. Very efficient, and it can really lock down your opponent. And that's the warrior head. I mentioned before, he's also got the mystic head. So at level 2 mystic head, he gets Mystic Shield. Now this is an excellent ability. So a friendly non-defender model within 2 hexes can be immune to RNG or mag attacks. This can shut down gun lines completely. It can make someone who's vulnerable to sort of like an enemy Astariel, like a Brock, for example. Brock with this on him is sensational. It really can lock down that key piece your opponent's got that's a ranged or magic aggressor, and it will lock them out from damaging one of your opponents completely. It's a complete lockdown. And at level 3, he gets Mesmerizing Gaze. Now this is also quite good. This is another aura, another 3 hex bubble, and all active abilities of any models cost 1 more action point. This completely shuts down so many heroes. People like Rakir, who wants to dive in and do his Toxin. Now remember, Toxin's a 1F active ability, same as Zonya's Death Toll, but you actually add an action to that. So it's 1A plus 1P. So there's so many abilities that will stop someone in their tracks when you got this up. Because it's a bubble, wherever Skoll goes, it goes. Another fantastic ability. They're both really good heads. It depends what role you want him to play. The Mystic Head is a lot more utility, keeping a friend alive with Bulwark and Mystic Shield. That's 2 action points you can spend to keep a hero super resilient from dying. And at level 3, you can really start to shut down some of the key pieces in your opponent's warband with Mesmerizing Gaze. So you should just give it a go, try both heads, see what suits your style, and you'll find that you'll be soon building your warband around the particular heads you want Skoll to get. He can be the piece that carries you in a game. He's a fantastic hero, and he's a good, very good person to put with undead as well, because when they kill someone, you can make the position it so the soul will go to Skoll, and once he's got a soul on him, it's very difficult for your opponent to get it off him. Give Skoll a go. I'd love to hear what you think about Skoll. Please let me know in the comments below how you play him, whether you agree with what I'm saying or whether you don't. And I have mentioned his health a couple of times, but he is the biggest health hero in the game. Starts with a whopping 21 health at level 1 and goes all the way to 27 at level 3. A level 3 Skoll with 27 health, if you've got the attributes on him, even without him, he's just not going to die. He's a fantastic piece. It'll take so much effort to kill him at that point, and that's the point where you want your opponent, your fellow undead, to putting their souls onto Skoll. You can send them out, do all the damage, and this guy will be walking around. He won't be losing them. And in saying that, he can put Bulwark on them to keep them alive for later on in the round. Well, that's my take on Skoll. Hope you enjoyed it. Love to hear your thoughts. Please smash the like button if you like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. I'm going to work through all the heroes in the game and do deep dives on them. Skoll's one of my favourites, and I can't wait to see him and use him more on the battlefield. Cheers.